Uncle Sam, the Scarecrows, the Scarecrows, Random Ninja Attack. Uncle Sam, the Scarecrows, the Scarecrows, the Scarecrows, Welcome to the Scarecrows Hour.
Nice effect.
All right, what's up, everybody? I am Uncle Sam,
I am Random Ninja, aka Randomness Ninjamus.
the most random of ninjas ever.
You can call me James though.
I call him James.
Yeah, that's Random Ninja is my professional name, and that's why you wouldn't recognize me as James, only as Random Ninja, and that's only as if you've ever looked at my Facebook or something, you know.
Well, I professionally go by Uncle Sam, but nobody ever calls me that, so I guess I'm not doing a very good job.
Not even your nieces.
Well, it's funny. My nieces do, definitely. And whenever my son hangs out with my niece for very long, he starts calling me Uncle Sam too. I'm like, no, I'm Dad.
I'm Dad.
No, I'm Dad.
I don't even want to tell you what my kids call me. Yeah, but actually, though, what's funny about that is Kinsley, my youngest, she's gotten this on a kick where she likes to work the word booty into everything.
Oh, dude, I thought it was just my son.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I thought it was just boys. Like, oh yeah. No, booty everything.
Booty everything.
Yeah.
She's been working on our alphabet. It's like A B C D E F booty H I J K L. She's nailing it. Like if she does it without the booties, she can't.
Yeah.
But throw some booties in there. She knows not to say booty at school, and I can only assume that she's sticking with our deal.
Ooh, I don't know about Rustin doing his. I don't know. I gotta find out.
No,
I don't know.
My kid's, she's so ornery, dude. Like, I'm a little bit worried because the other day we were in a store and suddenly I had like this bow in my pocket, and I was like, why'd I got this bow in my pocket? And of course I throw it on a shelf, you know. And then a little bit later we're checking out and I feel a tug at my pants and I look
what
down.
kind of bow?
Like a hair bow. You know,
okay.
like a Minnie Mouse hair bow.
Okay.
And I look down and there's my little daughter shoving her hand with this bow, trying to shove it in my pocket. And you're like, oh, that's innocent. I look at her, she looks up at me like, oh wow, like busted, you know. And so we had to have a talk about stealing.
Ooh, yeah, fun stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, here, you hold this.
Yeah, Daddy, you hold this. Yeah, I mean, I guess she doesn't really understand the concept of money. She's like, give it to Dad. He takes it out of the store. It's mine. Who cares?
Yeah.
You know, the rest of stuff's just paperwork.
Yeah.
Paperwork.
Rustin understands. It's like it's got to go by the clerk first. Like they got to check it out.
Good.
So
That's probably a good thing, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, we're here to talk about some movies, right?
okay, so today we're going to be talking about some movies. Okay.
Yeah. What movie are we talking about today?
I think we're going to start off with me learning how to talk. We're going to start off with the 1990 horror classic, Tales from the Darkside.
Dun dun dun. Yeah, horror.
Anthology Tales from the Dark Side.
Can we do the whole show like that?
We're going to do it like this. Yeah. Okay.
We got to get a new producer.
I know.
Okay. Okay.
If it'll, there it goes, right there, there it goes.
All
All right, so,
All right,
anyways, back to reality.
Yeah. Whoa. Not reality.
Well,
our reality.
Okay, hold on. Let's preface this stuff. Let's get this. Let me say some things up front.
Preface,
okay,
please.
all right. First of all, I'm wearing prescription sunglasses, so that's why I'm wearing sunglasses. Number one, this is entertainment.
Straight
Okay,
up entertainment.
first and foremost, this is entertainment. All right, we like watching horror movies. Like that's all it is. Like, and there's some stuff I don't watch, and there's some stuff. I mean, I'll tell you, you know. But what we are going to do is talk about movies that we have seen
Yep.
and that we enjoy, and we will hopefully explain our appreciation for it and maybe give some insight, or maybe you can find yourself enjoying this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and no movie's perfect and no movie's worthless. Well, I mean, there might be a worthless flick out there. Looking at you, Highlander 2. But also let me say, although Sam's wearing sunglasses, I am not, even though I have a light shining right in my eyes, because I just don't want to be that guy wearing sunglasses inside, Who cares though, right? And plus I like to make my eye contact, I got a lot going on in here. But yeah, we're gonna definitely talk about movies, some good, some bad, some we're gonna make each other watch down the road. There's probably gonna be something that we accidentally neither of us want to watch that we end up watching together, and then we can't figure out why we watched it at all. And then hopefully you'll hear us talk about it. But for today, starting out, and there's a particular reason that we're doing Tales from the Dark Side, because it's the season of the pumpkin right now.
It is the season of the pumpkin.
We're in fall.
We have just started fall.
Early fall.
The beginning.
Yeah.
I already have I have Halloween decorations out. I don't have fall decorations out yet, but I have Halloween decorations out.
I go right to Halloween decorations. Well, at first we buy the pumpkins.
Yeah.
And my wife uses them as fall decorations until I can get in there and carve me up a jack-o'-lantern.
That's what I need to do is get some pumpkins.
Oh yeah, they're right now there's a crap load because nobody's thinking about jack-o'-lanterns. But
I live in Olney though.
Well, that's on you, bro. You just go take them off your neighbor's porch or something.
There's no no. I'm gonna be the most decorated of my whole little neighborhood.
Yeah, that's why I came up to your place, and you live in an apartment complex, and I was like, oh man, which one is it? And then it's like, oh, there it is. It's like a bunch of Halloween decorations and a bunch of toys. I was like, even if this isn't Sam's, I want to know who lives here.
You walk up and it's ghosts, Paw Patrol.
Look like some maybe random cars and such. Which my house too. My house is very much like I have this space at the Scarecrow dojo that we're in right now. But outside of this, I have no say over my home, and it's full of little girl toys. I'll sneak some other toys in there, some Batmans and things like that, but some Restless. But it always comes back to, oh my gosh, Peppa Pig, Bluey, which, I hate to admit how much I like those. Anyway, Tales from the Dark Side. As you already said, it's a 1990 anthology horror film. So it's about 3 different stories. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the wraparound, how it's framed?
Well,
Oh, actually, I'm sorry. Tell me about the first time you ever saw this movie. Was it recently? Had you seen it before?
Yeah, okay. One of the things I do want to make sure that I do want to say, I want to make sure you hear me say this. We are going to be spoiling the ever-living blank out of these movies, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Period. That's just all there is to it. So it's like, if you haven't seen Tales from the Dark Side, we're about to tell you about the movie.
Stop this podcast. Oh, you know what? Mute the podcast. Let it play. We need the views. And go watch Tales from the Dark Side. It's available on, I'm not sure. I have it on Vudu. It's worth owning for me. And I should, anyway, I should also point out a fun fact about this film is a lot of people consider it the true third Creepshow. Which that's why it's kind of interesting. We're starting with it. It's a standalone, but if you dig in deeper, it was the people we're talking about Stephen King and George Romano, that were
George A. Romano.
I'm talking about Everybody Loves Raymond.
Oh.
Ray Romano.
Yeah.
I botched.
Oh, okay.
I botched.
Yeah, all right.
Anyway,
all right.
sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well,
George.
but
But
that's a big.
no,
I mean,
can you get that in post?
Romero.
Can you get that in post?
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I'm just kidding.
No, seriously.
I mean, that's kind of embarrassing.
That's super.
Especially for a horror podcast.
You're gonna cut that, right? He's not gonna cut it.
George Romano.
George Romano. It's
I
not
don't
in the
know.
living dead.
It's kind of like I got to keep it in because I'm going to say something really stupid
Okay.
too.
All right. Anyway, those guys made those dudes that I named a while ago that I said right. They were heavily involved in the first 2 Creepshow
Michael
movies.
McDowell, Stephen King, George A. Romero.
Ah, there you go. Romano. That's a parody waiting to happen.
It's like it's put together by John Harrison, the official director is John Harrison, and it's just exactly like James said. It's three different stories. There's different writers. Michael McDowell, like I mentioned, is one of the writers. There's a variation of a Arthur Conan Doyle, who is the Sherlock Holmes.
Oh yeah,
Wrote Sherlock Holmes.
Word.
There's a variation of one of his stories, and then Stephen King's George A. Romero wrote the screenplay for A Cat from Hell, which was a Stephen King story. And then the wraparound, well, it starts off with Debbie Harry and a young Matt Lawrence.
yeah. But real quick, when was the first time you saw this film?
Okay, the first time I probably saw it whenever I was younger, because I vaguely remember the Steve Buscemi and Christian Slater, and then that's the only real recollection that I can think of having until just recently, whenever we started talking about it.
Right. I remember. Did you ever watch the Tales from the Darkside show, the series?
No.
Okay, it predates the movie. Like that show was the first of those kind of movies or shows that I ever watched, and I watched one episode, and it's something to do with an apartment building that was like alive or something. It was like a kind of a monster and had to be fed. Anyway, scared the crap out of me. I was like 5. So Tales from the Dark Side, which has this really great. The show has this really great intro music, just really creepy and like this negative effect.
Let me say one thing. I probably, if these things were on TV in the 90s, then I probably did watch them, because my folks let us watch whatever the heck was on TV.
Well,
If it came on TV at all, then, and not, well, if it was on HBO, I didn't see it.
No, it was on network, but the thing was, at some point they changed the show. I don't know enough about this, but it was like pretty much everything the same except for they changed the title to Monsters. And so maybe that's where in the 90s, that's where, I don't know, that's worth looking into. I wish I knew more about that. But however, the movie itself, I remember seeing a sneak preview of it on some show. I don't know, like some critic show or something like that, where they showed a little bit of the beginning. And I thought it looked really freaking creepy because you couldn't see the kid behind the bars, the book and the lady with the thing. We'll talk about that a little bit. But first time I watched any of it, it was kind of like you. I didn't see the whole thing. I saw parts of it here and there, like on HBO. I would catch it on there, and I would confuse it with all the other anthology movies, like the creep shows and whatnot. So
yeah, that's kind of how, like, for me, I mean, I was born in 85, right?
Yeah.
So, this movie was probably wrote and shot in like 89. So the end of the 80s, it was put out in 1990. So, like, I'm 5 years old whenever it comes out, and so, you're looking at the early 90s. That stuff was probably on TV or around, and so it's like I know I was exposed to it because I remember Tales from the Crypt and all kinds of all the kind. Like, I've always been drawn to that, to the creepy horror stuff all throughout my childhood, all the way up until.
I would imagine that's why they changed the title Tales from the Dark Side, because of Tales from the Crypt, because Tales from the Crypt was such a big deal.
Yeah,
I mean that's kind of the king of those shows.
Yeah, the Crypt Keeper. I mean, there's few that
bro
match.
I think they should re-release every horror movie ever made and give it a bookend with the Crypt Keeper. Like, turn every movie into a Tales from the Crypt.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I think it'd be awesome. You have to watch them all again.
That's pretty neat.
Like, anyway, we should do a Tales from the Crypt movie down the road
Eventually.
Yeah.
I want to get to that because there's some of that stuff I'd like to revisit.
Sure. And some
nostalgia.
Shouldn't, but
yeah. Well, it's kind of like some of these movies that we'll get to, like, especially we're covering some anthologies.
Yep.
Let's, before we get into really the Tales from the Dark Side, let's kind of we've got 3 movies lined up that we're going to be talking about, and they're all anthologies.
Right.
So some of these stories are going to be good, and some of them are not so good.
Yeah, I think we've got a pretty good balance, and I'm gonna say this one, it's 3 stories. And usually these anthology movies have more than that, so this is kind of a minimum. So I really think they hit it with the quality on these, because I think all 3 of the stories are good. We have our favorites and stuff, but I don't really see. I mean, I know which one I like the least, and I know which one I like the most, but I don't know which one I think's the best. Because to me, there's a difference in my favorite and the best. You know, like so sometimes I'll be like, well, I think that's the best, but my favorite, like, example, that Nightmare on Elm Street, the original, is the best. My favorite is Dream Warriors. That's just, I accept that. Other people don't want to see it that way. They're like, well, if you think it's the best, or if you think it's your favorite, you must think that's the best. I'm like, no, I just
Yeah, I can see.
chocolate, vanilla, they both taste good, but who's
Yeah.
scooping the ice cream, you know?
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, as you were talking about the intro to this movie.
Yeah, well, yeah, it starts off with the woman talking to her friend, setting up a dinner party,
Mm-hmm.
and then leads into there's banging on the pantry. He opens up the pantry, and there is Matt Lawrence.
Yeah, very young Matt Lawrence, like you know, of the Lawrence brothers. Mrs. Doubtfire, he was in that. He was the young man in that. Younger brother of Joey Lawrence.
Yes.
And let's actually, we should talk about this cast real quick before we even go much further. Just like
I've got a lot on the cast, or not a lot, but I mean, it's a really good cast.
oh yeah, it's in none of these people had really made it yet. You know, they weren't really household names. You know,
Well, that's where it's like I look at it and I'm like, I remember all these people from whenever I was a kid. Like they all turned out to be big names, or not all of them, but the ones that we're gonna highlight.
And some like the witch is Blondie, Deborah Harry. Is
Yes.
her name? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for famously the band Blondie. I don't know if she did any other acting. I really don't. Maybe I should have researched that.
Well, I mean, if you watch this, then there's probably a reason why she didn't get many acting roles afterward.
Okay, but with all fairness, I think it fits. The awkwardness of her, I think fits. It works.
It works
because she's kind of like almost in like a bit of a daze. You know, I mean, because she's a witch.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Yeah.
She's this, but she's like this, and you got to wonder. It's like, what's the whole dynamic of this town? You know, and she's captured this paper boy.
Yeah.
And she's been feeding him cookies,
All
trying
day.
to fatten him up. Yeah, which you're not just gonna get. You're just gonna have a body full of cookies.
Yeah.
You know. And she's preparing to eviscerate. That's where I learned the word eviscerate. Yeah, eviscerate, and explaining it to him, and just casually doing it.
Yeah, like I get that part, but like it's just I don't know.
Well, I mean, yeah, she's not gonna win any Oscars, but I think it worked. Like I don't cringe.
I don't either. It's not the worst part about this movie at all. It's not.
I can't wait to hear what you think the worst part is. You know, I don't really nothing bad jumps out to me about this movie. You know, and maybe I'm watching it with like rose-colored glasses or whatever.
Okay.
That I'm not wearing right now because I don't want to look like a jerk wearing sunglasses inside.
Well, mine aren't rose-colored.
I know.
You can clearly see this is not rose.
Not talking about you. Not all about you, man.
Okay. Well.
Talking about the other people here. Anyway,
There's nobody else here.
live studio audience, my guy.
Kong and Michael Myers.
Uh-huh.
And,
Oh, we're in good company.
yeah.
We are in great company. Okay, so that's the intro. And then so she's gonna cook him and she pulls out the sewing needles, which come into play later. In the climax of the film, if you will.
The evisceration.
The evisceration. And she's giving him this book to read, and he didn't want to read it, but she's like, oh man, I gotta get to cooking. Gotta get to eviscerating and cooking you up, boy. And so he's like, well, no, let me read a story. And she's like, because she's kind of odd. She's an odd duck. She's like, yeah, read me a story. I love this book. And what was that story called?
Lot 249.
Lot 249.
So we start off with Lot 249, which is a author, Conan Doyle. It was originally written in the 1890s.
Really?
Yes.
I had no idea.
Yes. Well, like I said, I mean, he wrote Sherlock Holmes and stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I didn't know that.
1800s. Yeah.
Of course, I'm over here like Romano. So what do I know? My credibility's out the window. I've got to start from scratch completely. The Romano guy. Random Romano ninja. Anyway.
But talk about, all right, you want to talk about some of the cast here.
Yeah.
You have like I already mentioned, Steve Buscemi. Christian Slater.
Yeah.
And then Julianne Moore.
Julianne Moore.
Julianne Moore.
She is so pretty
I
in
know.
this.
Yes.
You know, like that is, like I never recognized her for the longest time from that.
Yeah.
You know, I recognized her later in her career. I mean, Christian Slater and Steve Buscemi are pretty recognizable at any stage in their career. If you're not, you got issues. You know, and Christian Slater was probably the I could be wrong, but probably the biggest star of in this movie at that time. You know, I don't know if he'd really hit. I don't know if like Heathers had came out yet. Of course, I don't know that If Heathers was any kind of hit. It's great, cult classic. Should watch it.
Well, this is
sometime if you haven't.
1990 when this came out,
Right.
so you got to look at, it's probably 89 whenever they shot this stuff. So the late 80s, beginning of the 90s.
Yeah, he was definitely on his way to being like that heartthrob.
When was Interview with the Vampire?
Oh no, that was like
93?
93, 94, something like that.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
he was already
So
kind
I
of
was-
established.
Okay.
That role he had in Interview with the Vampire was originally Joaquin Phoenix was supposed to have it, and
I can
after
see that.
Joaquin Phoenix passed away, so Christian Slater stepped in.
Wait. River?
Did I say Joaquin?
Yeah.
Okay,
Joaquin.
it was River Phoenix.
Yeah.
River Romano. River Phoenix was supposed to do it, and then River Phoenix passed away. Christian Slater stepped in, did the role, and gave the money to River's family.
Huh.
Yeah. Anyway, that's Interview the Vampire. Let's get back to.
So anyway, Tales from the Dark Side. Lot 249. Go ahead.
Oh no, I'm just like Johnny Botch today.
Yeah, well, it happens
I'm
sometimes.
good with it. That's real conversation though.
So it's a classic story. I think I mentioned this before. I think I've read it in a collection of short stories before, and so it's kind of like I remember flashes. Like I remember the visualization of Christian Slater and Steve Buscemi. I can remember them standing over the mummy. Oh, spoiler alert!
There's a
Lot
mummy.
249 is a mummy,
Oh yeah.
and he's not just any mummy. He's got
Is he a particular mummy?
he's got a fortune cookie. shoved
Oh
up
yeah,
inside of
fortune
him.
cookie, little scroll gimmick. Like man, you gotta also think that we don't have a lot of modern day mummy movies, not proper mummy movies.
No,
I love the Brandon Fraser one. Yeah, we do, but that's not, to me, that's like an action adventure film.
yes, it is.
A proper horror. I think the closest we come to in our era, and tell me if I'm not thinking of something, but is like, Bubba Hotep.
Bubba Hotep.
Yeah, I can't really think that there's any other good mummy movie because mummies never scared me.
Not really.
Yeah, they're so slow. I mean, this is a pretty good mummy though, for all intents and purposes.
Yeah, but this mummy is more like a golem.
Oh yeah. Even with the scroll, you're right.
Because that's what it is. It's really more the golem story. The way that you have this mummy, and here's this spell, and they cast the spell, and that's the story of the golem. The golem is this rock and mud, and then you cast a spell on it, and it goes and it kills whomever.
Yeah, I didn't make that connection.
Yeah,
Good
it's the
job,
same.
man.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same story as that, but also, I mean, like, the story was originally written in the 1890s.
That makes a lot of sense because I've heard of the Gollum story,
Yeah,
but I had never heard of this story involving a mummy, and I didn't make the connection.
yeah. It's just another little twist.
Yeah, a little tweak on it, but
Yeah.
which is great because we need more mummies.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty. I enjoyed it. I like the whole story. There's a few times where the mummy's kind of weird because he's really slow and clunky, and then he disappears real fast.
Yeah.
So it's like, which one are you?
Well, that's the age-old question, right? I think that one movie I got you to watch last night kind of might answer some of that. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, dude, I know that. I'm gonna be rethinking horror movies altogether because of that.
Yeah, we're
so.
referencing a film called Behind the Mask: The Rise of Leslie Vernon.
Yeah.
Anyway, but we're talking about Tales from the Dark Side, so we won't go down that road right now.
This is gonna be hard to do to focus
Yeah.
on just one movie.
We'll keep pulling
This is
it
gonna
in.
be difficult.
We'll keep pulling it in,
Just
man.
so y'all know, hang in there. Like, this isn't just about. Hopefully, you didn't just tune in to hear us discuss Tales from the
Dark Side, and like these jerks have been talking about Interview with the Vampire, freaking Bubba Hotep, the Mummy,
George Romano.
yeah, and everybody loves George Romano, and this guy doesn't even whatever, At least we, whatever. I don't care. It's all good. These are like I said, this is conversation. We're unscripted. I tried writing a script one time. It was pretty bad. For this, yeah. Okay, so for us. Anyway, so this mummy, like you're saying,
He's a dusty mummy.
oh,
Excuse my language.
I got to point something out that I thought was a connection that I guess maybe, but so real quick, let me talk about the characters just for a minute. Now, Christian Slater and Steve Buscemi, they're dorm mates in college.
Yeah. They live all in the same dorm.
Yeah, they all live in the same dorm.
And it's old school dorm. Like,
Yeah, I like that aesthetic.
it's pretty neat.
I thought
It's
it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So they're dorm mates, and Steve Buscemi is kind of
They're all in the art department.
right.
Too, by the way, they're in the art department.
Okay, I believe you. Because I knew the others were, but I didn't know about Buscemi because him. I guess him with the Mummy. I kind of always thought of him more of a, I don't know, like a history buff, archaeologist.
Well, that's in the arts. I don't mean like painting and stuff. Just that. I mean like it's in the museum.
Okay,
it's part of the
never mind.
museum in the arts.
I got you.
I meant like that. Yeah, because you have the museum curator guys like, dude,
Yeah.
this would have been bank if the Mummy would have been in it.
Right.
You know.
But they reference because Steve Buscemi has lost a what is it? It's not like a scholarship, but he's just lost. Like
What was it called? Dang it.
yeah, I know. I mean, it was something like a scholarship,
Yeah, it's the equivalent of one.
a grant or
It's-
something.
Yeah. It was this
So-
financial deal. It was the equivalent of a scholarship. But yeah, it was going to be a chunk of money.
Yeah, so he lost it to Christian Slater, his dorm mate's best friend.
Yeah.
Now I keep wanting to call that guy Chad. What is that guy's name? I forgot. But dude, he is like the definitive, like
I don't know.
80s,
no.
90 D bag. Like he's wearing a sweater.
Dude, I know the sweaters. The sweater vest. Christian Slater, like whenever they're coming back from playing tennis, whenever you first meet them, they're coming back from playing tennis. So that right there just kind of
Right.
puts them in the douchebag level.
Right,
you
yeah,
know?
straight up.
You know, and they're dressed like it too. And you got to remember, this is the 90s, 80s. You know, and they're dressed like it too, bro.
Yeah, dude. Like I wonder sometimes. I wonder, like, maybe we should bring back the sweater thing. Although I say bring it back, I don't know if I ever saw anyone do it. But it's like rock the sweaters, just to do it, just to shake things up a little bit in our little community. People be like, you know, those weirdos with the sweaters. Of course, you can do anything around here, and you're the weirdo.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not getting any signal up in here.
Yeah, no, I've turned off your signal. With my
Figures.
with my mummy scroll.
I was just gonna try to look up. It was probably like Todd or something.
Something, I don't know. I'm so bad with like character names sometimes. Well, okay, if I watch a new movie, I'll remember. But if it's a movie that I've watched in the past and as a kid, I didn't remember their names, it doesn't stick with me. You know, we can call him Chad though. I think it works. Maybe Todd is right. Gosh, we look so prepared.
Well, I didn't.
Anyway, though, so he loses out this scholarship type thing, and he loses it to
It's like Grant or something, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't
Grant,
know.
something like that. He
Whatever.
loses it to Christian Slater's best friend, the sweater guy, who actually cheated because he got his girlfriend to write it for him, and his girlfriend, played by Julia Moore, is Christian Slater's sister. So Christian Slater's character is directly connected to these two characters and the Steve Buscemi character. So we got dorm mates, best friend, and sister. Christian Slater's right in the middle of this story.
Yeah, and he seems to have a rapport with what's his name, Bellingham, who's played by Buscemi.
Yeah.
I got Bellingham down, but I didn't for some reason. I wanted to point out, even though they don't share a scene in Big Lebowski, Julianne Moore and Steve Buscemi.
Well, I'll be dipped.
Yeah, Big Lebowski.
Never thought about that one.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, man. I wonder if the Coen brothers were fans of this film.
I don't know.
Maybe they should remake it or something. I don't know.
Okay, so yeah, go ahead. I wanted to.
No, if you got something to say.
Well, no, it kind of fast forwards a minute.
Oh, okay. Well, then just jump in.
Zuni fetish doll. Go
That's
ahead.
what I was going to talk about.
Go ahead. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to talk about the connection to Trilogy of Horror.
Go ahead.
Okay, so when they say that Zuni fetish doll, like, first thing I thought of was this other movie from, is it 70s maybe? The late 70s? Yeah, I think 75. Trilogy of Horror starring Karen Black. Another anthology film, but it's made up of 3 stories, all with Karen Black in the lead role. But most people don't remember the first 2 stories. They all remember this third story that was centered around a Zuni fetish doll. And this doll, with the chain would come off of it, and it would come to life. Oh, man. You know, I was not even aware of this movie until I met my wife. she's not really into horror, or she wasn't, but that is a movie she brought into our marriage. You know what I mean?
So, what was it called?
Trilogy of Horror with Karen Black. You would
right.
you would recognize the name Karen Black from House of a Thousand Corpses. She was Mother Firefly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she wasn't in the sequel, of course. Unfortunately, I think she passed away before that, or maybe money was the issue. I don't know, but I don't think she's with us anymore. But yeah, so I was like, oh my gosh, that's what they're talking about. That's what's missing. But she does. They actually show the piece, right? Because she plants it in Bashimi's house.
Yeah.
Right, so that was the piece.
Yeah, because she had stolen it. The sister had stolen it, and she had it at the house. And so like they have this kind of weird confrontation because they're dropping off these moving guys are dropping off lot 249.
Yeah,
and Christian Slater and his friend are talking about stealing this guy's scholarship.
Right.
And there they are, like they come walking up. Oops, there he is. And this rich a-hole steps in and pays for the delivery and all that stuff.
Big dogs.
And yeah, like one-ups him just right there. Boom. It's like, not only did I take your money, but now I'm going to pay. It's like,
showing like I got money.
Yeah, and
so why did he even want to win it?
He talks about that at the very, very beginning of the story. He's like, Christian Slater asked him, he's like, why are you even doing this?
You were going to go.
Because they send him to Europe. That's what it was about. It was
so he could buy a car.
Yeah, so like the deal is the thing that Buscemi lost was that trip to go do something overseas in Italy or something like that or whatever. And so this cat cheats and wins it, and he makes that point. He's like, why do you even want to do this?
Yeah, your parents send you there every summer.
So to buy a Maserati.
Yeah, I
come
come back with a Maserati.
Yeah, he's like, for a Maserati.
Dad gum, dude. This guy.
Yeah, he's such a douche. Like, all the way through. Like he hits the douche like ding ding ding,
right,
all the way. He hits every box. Check all the way down. So there's this guy, and then they go in and they examine this, and which then the best friend tags out. But Steve Buscemi like basically just straight up says, someone stole this from me,
right?
Without saying that I think you had something to do with it. I just so happened to get accused of stealing some Zuni fetish model at the same time that this is coming up for review, and I didn't get cleared until after.
Right, yeah, he's been cleared at this point.
Yeah, but it was too late. He had already lost it.
But he makes mention that the sweater guy, Todd, whatever, makes mention of this to Julianne Moore, and because he's kind of at that point, he's a little bit like nervous that Buscemi knows, which obviously he does know.
Yeah.
So do you think that this happened and that's when he ordered lot 249 and like for this revenge, or do you think that he had already ordered this and this was just like, oh, I know what I'm using it on? Any thought on that? Because
I think you would have to order something like that too far ahead, like to get it shipped to you and stuff. I believe that would take weeks.
Yeah, so so that kind of might show you that character, how he was already a little bit like
unhinged,
envious, kind of like, I want this thing. And that's another thing. He found the scroll. You got to wonder, did he know that scroll was in there?
That's my deal. Is like, okay, first of all, he's into all this stuff. Yeah. And like, he has he collects all these different scrolls, and he's he's into this archaeology or history or whatever you want to call it. And y'all can get mad at me for getting stuff wrong. That's fine.
Hit us up in the comments.
Right. I dare you to. I dare you. Just like us out of spite. I dare you to subscribe just so you can talk crap every time we mess up. I dare you.
Whoa.
I dare you. Hit that subscribe button. I dare you.
Teach me things.
So, maybe this is something that he had already heard about and researched and already knew ahead of time, and is like, I want this.
Like, I'm going to get that mummy.
I need this. I will need this. Like he dug up in there, like knowing something's in there, whenever he opens it up, and like, why is he, I don't know.
Yeah. Cause he's already
wanted to examine it. Like,
it's hardcore. Obviously a valuable mummy, which that's funny too, because the guy says it'd be worth a pretty penny, like you kind of already stated, but then it's like, how did Buscemi afford it in the first place? You know?
Oh,
I don't know. One of those mysteries of the movie, I guess. If anybody knows how he afforded it, let us know. You know, I like a lot of things. Like sometimes, that's why I love different mediums. Like maybe there's not, but maybe there could be a comic book out there somewhere that explains like backstories to these characters and whatnot, you know, of different things. Like, I mean, they do that sometimes, and you know, it's great when it's canon. But even if it's not, I mean, pick up a story. I'm good with that. It's entertainment. It's fiction. It's a work of fiction. You can do whatever you want with it, really.
well, it might be worth looking at the Arthur Conan Doyle story to see what kind of backstory is involved, or if there's any type of backstory involved about these characters to begin with.
Okay.
To see what they were writing from, because they, you know, basically wrote a screenplay from this story.
Right.
You know.
Truth. Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, so Buscemi, he's doing this half-assed autopsy from my language, which again, you know, he must have been looking for it, because you wouldn't just start cutting up a mummy.
I mean, yeah, like why is he so intent? He's like hell bent on
Dives right in
autopsying a mummy, you know, and talking about. Of course, he's also like got a semi unhealthy obsession with the whole process of it, and he's talking about the embalmers and stuff, and he obviously enjoyed talking about what it took to do the embalming and all those things.
This you could take this character and put him in another movie as like a sketchy mortician, and he would fit right in there. The kind of guy that they don't leave alone with the bodies.
100%. No, that's like he's going to. And okay, so now that we've gone into the autopsy part of it, and we've talking about this dude has gotten stolen from, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of my favorite parts is, and it just happens briefly, is after he's already found the scroll, and he's reciting it, and Julianne Moore has come to talk to her brother, to talk to her brother, comes in, and the lights go out in the dorm. So Christian Slater's trying to get the lights turned on.
Yeah, he goes messing with the fuse gimmick.
Yeah, right. So he's messing with the fuse. Somebody knocks him down. Julianne Moore shows up. She goes into Buscemi's apartment, hides the fetish doll.
Right. Yeah, planting it on him.
Go ahead.
I don't really think that comes back into play though but that's just why she was there.
So she's doing this. The only reason I bring this up is because she had to leave the house, right? So she leaves the house. She does this. She plants the doll, which it does come back later on that she plants the doll. Yeah, it comes back at the end of it. So like she plants the doll, right?
Yeah.
Heads back to the house. So she comes back to the house. During the time that she's been away, the mummy has attacked.
Right.
We have had the first attack.
He has attacked Chad Todd Sweater.
Yes.
The third.
I don't have signal, or else I'd look. Like I have no signal in here, and I don't know your Wi-Fi, so
you did. Oh, I'm sorry. I would have given you my Wi-Fi password.
Yeah, like I just.
That would have been nice to think of.
I'm totally having to freestyle this off of my own. Go figure. I hope that you would have someone in your house. Lee, not Chad, not Todd. Lee,
not Sweater guy. Lee Sweater.
Lee Sweater.
Lee Sweater.
Le Sweater.
Le Sweater the third.
Le Sweater
of the Sweater clan.
So Lee is cooking.
Yep.
Whenever the sister leaves, he's at home cooking, right? Yeah. So obviously he cooks a meal for himself, and while his girlfriend leaves, and
shows how good his cooking is. She's like, I gotta go.
Well, then he gets drunk and passes out on the couch during that time too.
And this may not matter, but looking at that couch, it looks like a pretty uncomfortable couch to me. I'm sorry, it looks like porch furniture.
Dude, that was like, at first I was like, dude, that kind of almost looks like a futon.
Yeah.
And it's like, it looks like porch furniture. Like, it looks like very uncomfortable. It's that red, like pipe.
Like metal.
Metal, yeah.
It's like outside stuff, and this guy's all rich and fancy. I mean, I guess he was pretty drunk though.
Yeah.
But why was it in there?
Why was it in there? It didn't fit. Because the bookshelves are really cool in there.
Yeah, everything else.
Like pretty neat.
You know, it's kind of like some of these things, I guess we overthink about, because if you remember at the beginning of the wraparound story, when Blondie is talking to her friend on the phone,
Yeah.
she says like, "Oh, bring some glasses, right?" Well, if you look behind her, there's wine glasses.
Well, she wanted champagne glasses.
Champagne, but then she's like, "Well, if you don't have enough, we'll drink out of some jars or something."
Yeah.
Maybe use the wine glasses.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
People, anyway. But then again, that fits back into that character
Yeah.
for her. Just
Well, it's like they said, why are you putting so much effort into a dinner party? And she says, you know me, I always put so much effort into it. So it's like she's putting effort into all the things that she thinks are important, and she's going to forget some of the things because she's focused on all this other stuff.
right, yeah.
So
The eating of the child, the preparations.
so Mummy shows up.
This
is whenever sometimes he's super slow and sometimes he's ninja.
I guess he's got them spurts.
So so he does his thing, which goes back to the embalming.
Oh gosh, yeah. Which I always wondered that, like, because even like Bashimi talks about before about taking the hook up
Yes.
through the nasal cavity,
Yes.
hooking the brain and pulling it out through the nose. I always wondered what that looked like because I wondered, it's like, does it come out like all mushy and long, or does it kind of come out and then like poof, pop back into the brain mode, And like, does the spine connected to it through the nose? Be looking like Schwarzenegger in Total Recall.
Well,
Demise.
let me see. I said Mummy goes straight for the hanger.
Straight for the hanger.
Yeah, and he did too. He comes in and he walks straight in and he goes straight to the closet. Like straight into the closet,
Yeah.
gets a wire hanger, starts undoing that SOB, and the fruit bowl whenever she walks in.
Yeah.
So this all ties in. You look in the fruit bowl and there's fucking brains there.
Brains. Which answers my question. Yeah, it's just a bowl of brains.
Bowl of brains.
And like, which, she doesn't mistake for his cooking or something.
Nope.
Which it's like, do you think she's like, what do you think about that? Like, oh my gosh, that's brains.
I mean, how do you even? What do you? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, and it's like, and he puts them there with the fruit.
Right there with the fruit.
Yeah, I wonder if that's the thing, because when he was mummified, he was stuffed with like onions and stuff. So maybe he's like, you need like herbs and edibles and all that stuff go together. Dead in that. Probably not. Probably just probably somebody making the movie's like, hey, you should throw the brain in the orange bowl.
Well, it's kind of like right when she walks in, it's right there where they hang their keys and everything. Yeah. So it's like, boom, it's like right there. It's like, holy, what the heck? And then,
you imagine the mummy walking around though. Like, I like to think it wasn't just random. They threw it there. He's like walking around like, where should I put this brain?
Oh no, I think it was intentional. 100%.
Somewhere they could see it. Like, sets it down over. He goes, no, the mummy off camera.
Yeah, it's like as soon as she comes in, there it is. But I just loved how it was just sitting there in the fruit bowl.
Yeah, that was good stuff. So at that point,
I do have to critique the attack on the most beautiful Julianne Moore.
Yeah.
The window, she is at the window.
Yeah.
Like breaks the glass and then just stays like surrender style, like the cops are trying to arrest her, like just stays there while he's just like slashing at her back, and then starts trying to stuff freaking chrysanthemums in it. Like while she's still there, he starts doing all that while she's still standing there.
It's
and
like
she's just like, that's just bad.
That's vicious too. That slash on the back. But like it's like she's deciding. She's like, oh, good job. That looks painful. I'll just see how this works out for me. Yeah, hopefully my brain won't be in the fruit bowl.
Yeah, I'm like, no, I'm going out the window. Yeah, it's already smashed. The glass is out. Just fall through it. You're gonna get cut regardless.
It's like, lady, jump. And she's like, what? I could break my ankle.
You're on the first floor, which ties back to that other movie and some of the rules that stuff that he was talking about.
We really got to break
never
that
go. Yeah, I know, dude. This is especially after I watched it last night. I was like, dude, this is gonna be hard for me to talk about something else.
But yeah, it kind of changes your perception and stuff. Yeah, again, that's Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. Yeah, totally watch it. So when we do cover it,
I'd never heard about it. Never heard about it until you told me about it yesterday.
It's just one of those movies, dude. I'll tell you, it wasn't the first time I heard about it, but when I met Robert Englund, the guy in front of me to meet him.
Trump.
Yeah, name drop. No big deal. When I was kicking it with Robbo, that's when you know him like I do. That's what's up. But anyway, so this guy pulled out. I want to. It was an alternate poster for it, and Robbie, if you know him, was just like he was just like, oh, this is beautiful. Yes, he's like, oh, once in a while I see one of these. Somebody will bring for me to sign, and and he's like, it's a wonderful little film, and like he was just putting it over. I think I'd seen it at that point. I don't know. I had it on DVD and I loaned it to somebody, and that was the end of that.
I think it said it was like 2015 or something.
Yeah, I can't, and I
Which
can't.
would explain why I didn't see it, because during that time I wasn't.
I
wasn't on planet Earth.
It was one of those movies you had to look for. You know what I mean? Around here, anyway. I don't know. Maybe in other circles, but anyway, it tells from the dark side as we return. Okay, so the mummy is slashed up. The young and lovely Julianne Moore at the window. Frozen in fear, I suppose. So you got to know sometimes the director is like, the actor's like, well, wouldn't I jump? They're like, nah, that's not the scene, okay?
I know too, and it's like, what about the mummy rapping? Because the mummy rapped her. It is the most pathetic. Like it's so sad. I'll do a pop up of the scene. I'll just do a still image of that scene right now. That's what it looks like.
Whoa.
Yeah. Wow. I mean,
it's like my kid trying to like rap a present or something, or do anything.
Dude, it is so sad.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. So
I mean, it's bad.
Now at this point, Julianne Moore and Lee Sweater have both been taken out by Buscemi's mummy.
Yes.
And
Christian Slater's on to him, by the way. At this point, he's like, "Oh, something's going on. Something's up."
Which you kind of get the vibe that Christian Slater is well aware of the level of douchebaggery that both his friend and his sister are capable of, and it's like, okay.
Well, if you look at it, it's kind of like at the end, whenever he's just like, well, it's my best friend and my sister. I have to do something,
right?
And it's kind of like by
he says something like, "I'm not going to apologize for what I did," something like that. So and you probably think like the guy's not like, if they would have just met in college, they probably wouldn't have kicked it, but they probably go way back. And it's like one of those people you grow up with.
It's his best friend.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So but they probably like grew up together.
Yeah, I imagine so.
And that's why then again, maybe we just never get the chance to see what a douche Christian Slater could have been. Maybe he was, but we're just like, Christian Slater.
Maybe just in comparison to Lee Sweater, he's not quite the douche. But then again, it's like, I don't know, it's Christian Slater, so it's kind of hard to. I don't want to imagine him as Lee Sweater. But then again, that's his best friend, so it's like that does say something about him.
I got some friends that are douches.
Yeah, we go through those times. We go through those times.
Yeah, but so maybe it's just that they're just in college. They're young. They haven't grown apart yet. Right? And plus the dude's with his sister, so he's like, I'm stuck with this guy.
Yeah.
It's easier to be best friends. Like you might think that he would actually, in different circumstances, Buscemi would have been his best friend. Like maybe.
Well, it's like they got along while they were talking about the mummy and stuff. That's what I'm saying. It's like it seemed like they had a pretty decent rapport leading up to this whole debacle.
Yeah, this part right here where it's kind of the set that up for us, like Slater and the mummy. Am I missing something? Am I jumping?
No, he shows up at Buscemi's apartment, and he has him tied. He ties him up. Wait, how does he tie him up?
Yeah, he's got I forget. Does he knock him out or something?
I don't remember. Anyway, he puts it all together once he finds his sister. It's after his. Is it after his sister's death? After the funeral?
Yeah. Okay. I think that's what I was missing was the funeral. That's the scene that.
So yeah, well, it's like her funeral, and he's going to leave, or am I skipping?
I don't know. Yeah.
I got it all.
We already said spoilers. Y'all seen
Regardless,
it.
okay.
Whatever.
So like, he's got Buscemi tied up at his apartment, in Buscemi's apartment, and he starts cutting up the mummy with an electric knife.
Yeah, he's got him like set up.
Yeah, because he has him set up. And he's like, "Where's the scroll? Where's the scroll?" Like he's got his thesis. Bellingham's thesis is spread out underneath him. He's spraying him down with the lighter fluid. He's about to set his fire.
And he's telling them about to, about to have a bonfire.
He's like, I know I understand what you went through. That sucks. Where is the scroll? Because I'm going to burn this thing. And so he tells him what the scroll is. And he's like, no, don't do it. It's a one of a kind. He's like,
it's
I
irreplaceable.
Sure like, I sure hope so.
Yeah, I hope so. If you can't do a Christian Slater impersonation, just do a Jack Nicholson, and it'll turn into a Christian Slater. Really?
It's like, I really hope scroll. So. It's like, well, I burned the scroll. Anyways, I would have to watch it and redo it. Anyways, so while he's trying to find the scroll, Buscemi starts reciting
the
spell. Mummy comes alive.
Right.
He's not super quick mummy this time.
No. The mummy assassin.
I don't think Buscemi had fully finished the spell either, so maybe that's why the mummy was just he was 3,000 years old.
Gum. You said 2 people.
So he comes out of his sarcophagus in a slow motion, and so Christian Slater pulls out an electric kitchen knife.
Yeah.
Bang!
So and that really demonstrates, like, if you know the mummy's coming, he's very easy to deal with. I mean, like, Slater didn't even have to go get a chainsaw or like a shotgun. He's like, what's in the kitchen? Oh yeah, this. Yeah, we use it. Oh, it's charged. Good.
Well, he said just in case the power goes out.
Right. Yeah.
Like he had the battery one. It was a cordless battery one.
Yeah, because they ran the power going out before.
Yes, because the power kept going out because of the mummy. So
anytime I think of carving knives, I always think back to that scene in Idle Hands. Look at me, I'm Leatherface.
That's another good one. Idle Hands. That's such a good one.
Oh yeah. That gets overlooked as a Halloween movie. And when people talk about Devin Swanson, it's like
Sawa.
That's what I said. Anyway, that's what I'm. When I got the name wrong the first time, I stuck with it. Swanson Romano, Razor Romero. I'm flawed. I don't care. Let's keeping the bar low. Barlow, as in Kurt Barlow, as in Salem's Lot. I'm gonna see how many freaking movies I can fit in here and talk about anything. Okay. Anyway, we're like back to Tales.
Within the first hour of the Scarecrow's hour, we still haven't even covered the first story in Tales from the Dark Side.
But thank you for correcting me, though, for real.
So, well, yeah, I mean,
please do so.
That's what we're here for.
I'm just glad you didn't do something like don't say anything about it, then in post you just write down idiot.
Well, I may still do that. I mean, I may put like a counter. How many names does James get wrong in the first episode? Yeah. Ding, ding.
All right. I'll take it. Ding. If you're gonna put in the work, okay. Ding, ding. And then it just turns into like an alarm going off. Ding, 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 ding. I'll really just start talking about something like I know nothing about, which is most things.
Well, first he breaks off the fingers of the mummy, though.
Yeah, for kindling. They'll make good kindling.
Yeah, they'll make good kindling. And he breaks off, which one of the fingers was already broke off before, and then he breaks off 2 more. So the mummy comes. Come,
my mummy. Come, my mummy.
It was funny. That song was, my dad was listening to One Hit Wonders on Sirius XM the other day, and we were talking, and he was like, I know this one. No, I don't know this one. Yeah, I know this one. And it got to the 90s, and I think that song actually came out in like 99.
Yeah, late 90s.
98 or 99. So but anyway, it fell in with that One Hit Wonders of the 90s.
Yeah.
And I was like, I remember this one. And he was like, what? And I'm like, yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Have you seen that dude lately? Swifty, whatever?
I have no idea.
Oh, bro. So bad.
I couldn't tell you who that is.
Dude, he looks like he's about 80 years old. And I saw him performing Butterfly live on something. He's like, come, my butterfly. Come on, my baby.
Let it go,
bad,
bro.
Dude.
Let it
and then
go.
him and one of his other, anyway, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, it's horrible. You can check it out. Crazy Town Fight. Watch those 2 got in a fight with each other backstage because they were doing some stuff with like Head PE and Subnoise and stuff. That's how it came across my radar. And the other dude's a douche too. Like the way they were talking to each other, it's like, I don't like either of you guys. Anyway. The Mummy, because that's
excuse me.
Sorry, that's how we transitioned in. That's his mummy impersonation.
That's about what the mummy sounded like.
Yeah.
Well,
actually, that's every impersonation he's got.
I'm about to move this cup over.
Like
So I
Jack
needed to
Nicholson, he's
move.
like, "This is Jack Nicholson burping. It's
Sorry.
Sylvester Stallone burping.
Moving this glorious water cup.
Yeah, is that water in there? Yeah, like magic potions, mummy juice.
That's vodka. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, totally water, 100% water. So Mummy comes out hardcore, flying out, just ravishing, almost as bad as that pink cup.
Yeah, I know you got the really cool cup, and I'm over here with my daughter's LOL. I hate these, dude. Look like little hood rats.
Okay, those things are. I can go on a rant about how horrible those things are. Whenever you start putting them,
They love to open them, and they're $10 a piece, and they're everywhere in my house. And I'm like, that's like I'm looking at like $500 worth of crap. You know, burden of being a parent. So anyway, but I love this thermos. Drinking out of it, it like keeps. It's just awesome to drink out of. But
he doesn't know that there's other thermoses out there that.
Huh? Oh, they've made more?
He doesn't
Cool.
know yet. We're going to let him know.
I could have just easily like wrapped something around it. Nobody would ever know.
Oh, no, I would have pointed it out because you showed it to me the other day, and I would have had to point it out as soon as I saw it. So
there we go. Now it's just a pink top with the. If you want to get the new Scarecrow Hour thermos, pink top edition, you can order right now for 3 easy installments of $9.99.
So
We'll fill it up with water or vodka, whatever.
this mummy comes out. And so, as you guess, Christian Slater cuts it up into pieces with the electric knife, destroying the mummy. And then burns it, I guess.
Yeah, well, yeah, he burns it in the fireplace.
Well, I mean,
he throws it in there.
You see him burn the head.
Yeah, I think it kind of like he did the whole thing
Yeah.
and did the head last, you know, because you want to do that for dramatic effect.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he lets Bashimi go.
Yeah, then he lets him go. Yeah.
You think he should have let
Cat,
Bashimi
no,
go?
hell no.
Should not have.
No.
And then because Bashimi gets in a taxi
No.
driven by some metalhead.
Which, by the way, if you you can still see like it's a water tattoo.
Yeah.
Like you can see the peeling. You
Oh,
know,
for
whenever they
real?
start to peel, yeah, that guy whenever he turns his right shoulder, yeah, it's a green and red tattoo, and it's like a dragon or some stuff. Like you can see the skin peel up around it, like you can or the tattoo peeling. Yeah.
I got it. Yeah. I'll have
Yeah,
to go
you
back
can
and
see
check
it.
that
Yeah,
out.
you can-
Can you-
yeah.
Can you do a still of that?
Yeah, I'll do a still. All right. No, other side. There you go. Right
Oh,
there, or
nice.
right there. There's I was just like, because I was watching, I was like, huh? Which, by the way, nowadays we're watching these in like HD or whatever.
Oh, sure.
And so it's like
Yeah.
whenever you saw it or whenever they did it originally in
Oh, yeah.
1989,
And then
then you probably no, but
right, it has a softer image.
Yeah.
You know, that's a lot of older movies suffer because of that. you
yes,
know?
well. And that's one thing I want to say that we here at the Scarecrow Hour are going to take that into effect or take that into consideration whenever we talk about a movie, you know, because we may we're going to obviously it's like we're talking about a movie that was made whenever I was 5 years old.
Yeah.
So it's like we understand. It's like we enjoy it. It's like, but if you watch it, understand that the video quality is probably not going to be what you're used to or what you're expecting from today, which
Sure.
I kind of think that our audience already knows this.
Well,
So,
yeah, I would imagine so. But I will say that I used to keep a like an old school glass screen TV and a VCR just so I could watch movies like this, like that. Because I mean, I love having my digital copies of everything, but something's lost, you know, when I watch it. It's just that's not really how it's meant to be seen. But mostly, you know, but not exactly. That's not really what the director, how he was picturing it. Like, well, it's gonna be like this in the theater. It's gonna be like this on TV, you know, and stuff. So, you know, not that they care. They get paid. It didn't affect anything. I know nowadays they take that into account, I'm sure, you know, so they just make everything look perfect, you know, but they could do that with I mean, gosh, like all those Marvel movies. I mean, how much of that is actually like a set, you know? I mean, it's mostly green screen, right?
Yeah, that's a big issue that I have with those movies is how much of it is actually green screen. Because
Yeah,
whenever you look at behind the scene pictures and stuff of those all the time,
There'll be a
it's
little bit of
like-
set,
yeah, and
Then-
how much of it's green.
and then half the characters are just like in like green suits and stuff, you know.
Yeah,
Which
all
the
the
finished
dots.
product is really good. I mean, they're based on comic books, so you know we don't have to get too artsy about them. But you know, it loses a feel. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I love good practical effects. You know, I know it's not always cost efficient, especially with those movies. You couldn't do it. You know, you really couldn't. You know, you'd end up like with Waterworld. You know, Waterworld like would have done so. It didn't really flop. It made money, but it was so expensive to make. But if they would have used a lot more special effects opposed to these giant tanks of water and stuff, you know, it would have been. I don't know. Waterworld's not that bad of a movie. It's really not bad. It's just it didn't make its money. You know. Anyway.
That's one of those I'll have to rewatch. Okay, so Buscemi gets set free. He's riding in this taxi. All right, we got lost on the taxi guy for a second there. But so Buscemi's sitting in the back seat.
The temporary tattoo taxi guy.
Yeah, and like Buscemi's lines in this part are pretty terrible. Well, a lot of his lines are, but then it's like you got to remember that the story was originally written 100 years before.
Yeah. This
was shot. You know, and so take that into account. I keep on saying effect, but I mean account or consideration.
That's just mercy mess ups for me. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm hitting on everything, and James over here talking about, you know,
yeah, wow.
Sorry, man. You want to pick that ball up I dropped?
No, I'm gonna let it roll. I'm watching it roll across the room right now.
Anyway, out the door. So tell us about this dialogue.
No, I was gonna let you go ahead and talk about the.
Yeah, because he says something along the lines of like, because when the temporary tattooed taxi driver is like, "What's so funny?" or however he talks, he's like, "I was just thinking about a guy that can't tell the difference," and I forget he said something like
third century Roman picto porn.
Yeah, picto porn. I remember porn was in there.
You know, yeah, and it's like you couldn't tell the difference between Roman porn and hieroglyphics. Third kingdom hieroglyphics.
So then he's on his way to go. He leaves and he's on his way to go join a bowling league with the dude and Walter. But meantime, Christian Slater's talking to his mom on the phone, talking about the funeral was hard and everything. And guess who shows up at his house? His dead sister and his dead best friend.
Lee Sweater
and the lovely, not so lovely Julianne Moore at this point.
At this point, she didn't look too lovely.
So apparently, dated worse. But apparently, now that scroll did not work exclusively with that mummy, but with any dead person.
Well, if you listen, he alters the spell. Like the spell goes a little bit different whenever he does the spell the first time to activate the mummy.
Yeah.
And then you listen to what he does at the end with he talks about the couple. Like there's a few things that kind of variate.
Really?
So it's kind of like it leads you to believe that like you know, the mummy wasn't the mummy was just the vessel in which to get this spell.
Yeah.
You know, so it's an ancient spell.
Oh, okay. So maybe it's an ancient spell and it comes free with a mummy. It's like
basically it's like you want a sarcophagus and a mummy, along with this free spell.
Act now, and we will throw in a mummy for your first reanimated corpse.
It's kind of like this. I'll sell you a Ziploc bag for $25, and there might be some other stuff that comes in free with it. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, how do you deliver an evil ancient scroll? Well, I'm going to wrap it inside of a mummy, and then I'm going to put the mummy inside of a sarcophagus.
That's a tough word.
See, I mean, we got our own.
Like Romano.
Yeah,
stuff.
Like Romero and Romano. Sarcophagus. Scarfaces. So Scarfaces. And so he stuffs the mummy in a Scarface, and then stuffs the Scarface inside of a box. And then
there it is.
Has it shipped to his dorm.
Or I can see somebody be like, "Hi, I'm here to teach you a life hack. Next time you order an ancient scroll to reanimate dead corpses, don't throw away the mummy it came in. You can use the mummy. It's good trial and error, even if your friend cuts it up.
It's like try out the spell. This is what you start off with.
Don't
you start off with the mummy.
Once
the mummy, it's going to fall apart because it's cheap. It's just what it comes with.
Your friend's gonna cut it up.
We expect you to practice with this mummy. Right. Once you have achieved, the ability to
desired effect.
Yes, once you understand it, once you get it down, then it's like, okay, now it's time to start using this spell on other.
Because here at Ancient Evil Scrolls, our motto is waste not, want not.
I mean, then you can turn around and sell the Scarface.
The Scarface. Sell the Scarface. The Scarface scroll. Anyway, I think that pretty much wraps up that story. I'm pretty sure we talked about that story longer than the actual story is.
Way longer.
Yeah, we're gonna have to fast forward through
way longer.
Some other crap happens in the kid in the end.
Jeez, Sam. Really?